Welcome to the training session on how to create and review a 3D PDF of a BIM model. We'll start the process by opening up one of our BIM models. I'm using the architectural condo model that is included in the Building Sample US dataset. And before we get going with our printing, we want to save a view that we can then have carry over to our PDF and will be available to us within the PDF. So I am going to window area on the front corner of my building, and I'm going to my save view from my primary toolbar, and I'm going to select that I want to create a save view. I'll call this corner of building, and then I'll click in the view to save that view. I can double check it. I'm going to do a fit to take the view back to where it was, and then I'm going to my save views. I'm going to select corner of building. I'm going to say that I want to apply that save view, and I click in the view to bring it back. You can see that the name of the save view is here in the title of that view. And I'll do a fit to go back. And now I'm going to my print settings. So I'm going to select File, Print. You can see the preview of our condo there in the preview window. Now the first time you do this, you want to change from a Windows driver to a Bentley driver. And select the Browse button and select the plotter configuration file called pdf.pltcfg. I'll choose Open. And I can double check that I have the right plotter configuration file by looking here in the title of the print dialog box, and it'll be in parentheses at the top. You want to double check that you have the correct view selected that you intend to print, and you want to put a check mark next to Print to 3D. Now we want to look at some of our printer configuration options. So I'm going to select File, Edit Printer Driver Configuration. Make sure you have the tab selected called Base Properties, and then we're going to expand Driver Properties. And a couple of things that you want to double check is that Enable Bookmarks is turned on. And then you have a couple of options here. Do you want to allow the user who you're sending the PDF to be able to make changes to that PDF? So you can say allow unrestricted changes, or you can say do not allow any changes. And you have other options there as well in between those two. You want to determine if the user on the other end will be able to print it. So you can say allow high or low resolution printing, or do not allow printing. So once you're comfortable with your choices, you can close the printer driver configuration. Say yes if you want to save the changes that you made. Then the next thing we want to determine is, do you want to include the data group information in your PDF? And we're going to do that by going to Settings, 3D Plotting, and do we want to include the properties? In this case we're going to include all, but you could create filters where you limit what information is being carried over to the PDF. And the way you would create one of those filters is by going to Settings, PDF Property Filter, And then you could choose which objects you want to be included in the data group properties. For instance, you could select just windows, or maybe windows and doors, and you would save that filter, give it a name, and instead of selecting all, then you would select this particular filter that you just created. But we're going to include all of the data group properties as an example, and that will take longer for the PDF to print, probably a minute to 2. And the last step is to say print. Select where you want to save your PDF. Give it a name. I'm going to replace the one that I already have. And you wait for the print to process. Once the process is complete, I can close that dialog box, and I can go to Adobe Reader and open that PDF in Adobe Reader. So at this point, you can open up the practice workbook and do the exercises to open a BIM model, to create a save view for printing to a 3D PDF, and then the exercise to print to a 3D PDF.